Welcome to the Probably Soccer Podcast, where we probably talk about soccer. My name's Eddie.
My name's Justin.
And we are your hosts. We are so back. It's been over a month, but we are excited. The World Cup is here. In today's episode, we'll be talking about the World Cup, specifically in America. Is it a success or is it a flop? We'll be talking about the U.S. men's national team opening game and make our predictions for the Australia game. And ultimately, we will talk about the wild opening weekend that we have had so far. Stay tuned. This is Probably Soccer.
Let's go.
We are so back. How we doing?
We're good, man. The World Cup is kicked off. We're finally back on our schedule. Dude, it's been a while. We haven't been able to talk about soccer for a couple weeks. It's been like a month, but what a time to come back. We are in the heat of the World Cup group stages, and I've never had more fun.
I know. Well, I was able to talk about soccer 2 weeks ago, but someone wasn't.
My bad.
Oh, I'm moving. Oh, I have a bachelor party. Oh, I'm so busy. Can't talk about soccer. But that's okay because we're here and we're going to talk about the World Cup. World Cup. World Cup. All right, that's it. Did you see that video? I saw a video yesterday of Brad Guzan, former goalkeeper of Atlanta United. Like big guy. And he so I Show Speed obviously was at the opening game.
Right.
And so he went up to I Show Speed and he was like, "Hey, me and my kids, big fans." And he starts singing the World Cup song to him. Which
That's
is
really
just
good.
so funny. So funny. It's such a good way to like harbor the World Cup energy because here's the thing. The World Cup is here, Justin. And not only is it here, but it is here in America. As I'm sure all of you were locked in on my halfway countdown to the World Cup. I kind of gave up on a little bit, but we were able to read at least half of the Declaration of Independence grievances together, and that's what matters.
Maybe in 4 years we will finish it.
We'll see what happens. But we are back. It's World Cup. Justin, this is day 4 of the World Cup. How's it going for you?
It's going good. We've had some pretty incredible matches on top of a USA win, which we'll get to. But I mean, let's talk. I mean, in our notes we have like best games so far. We were kind of arguing like which games we preferred. I loved the opening game. I thought Mexico, South Africa, like in Mexico City, the ambiance, the ceremony beforehand, and then who doesn't love a 2-0 3 red card game? Who just doesn't love like? I don't even know what South Africa was thinking. Like they go down 2-0. You know, like if you're Mexico, you're not trying to concede a goal because of like goal differential. If you're South Africa, you're just thinking about like, okay, we don't want to go down 3-0. And I guess they were trying to like start a little fight with Mexico. Like the whole idea was just to like get them aggravated, so maybe like they might just whiff on a couple other games, and that would like South Africa's advantage. I'm not sure, but whatever it was, it worked. I think it backfired a little bit. I mean, it was like 9 versus 11 there for a second, but what an exciting way to open the tournament. I mean, I think that's been the most, besides the obvious USA win, I think that's probably been the most exciting game I've seen so far. What about you? I mean, what's been your favorite?
Yeah, I mean, to comment on that, obviously I was really excited about it. Obviously, this is our first World Cup where we're like genuinely really care. I'll talk about this later, but it is I kind of miss those days of being able to just like kind of turn on the USA game and not like really know what's going on and not caring a lot about it. Just like, oh, I want to win, But big filling in on the lore of 2014, 2010 being the opening game, and now kind of running it back. I think on the same day too, or very close to, and it was kind of funny seeing. I'm blanking on his name, but the dude who scored one of the goals for Mexico, he did the famous like South Africa like dance, that they did when they scored against Mexico to open up that World Cup in 2010. It's that, just one, I just so excited about the World Cup starting. Sorry if any of you work with me and you're listening to this, but like I definitely was not getting work done that first opening game. I went down. We have a projector. I put the game on, and we kind of worked. But it's the opening game of the World Cup. That only happens every 4 years, so I had to lock in.
They'll understand.
But just the excitement around it, and it's really cool seeing one opening in Mexico, and then seeing another opening ceremony in Canada, and then another one in USA. But I'm gonna be honest. So far, so this is day 4. We're recording on Sunday, so obviously we're still very much so in the opening stages of the World Cup. I went to a watch party yesterday for Brazil Morocco. And honestly, I think that's been my favorite game so far.
Nice.
I think both teams were very equally matched, like exceeded my expectations. I thought Brazil was going to kind of whoop the floor, but Brazil was low-key playing some haram ball throughout the game. But Morocco scored first. We were late to the watch party, and as we were walking up, literally like going through the gates, the crowd erupted. Being in D.C., obviously there's kind of multicultural, so many different cultures here. I didn't realize how many Moroccan fans. I thought it'd be all Brazilian fans, but a surprising amount of Morocco fans. They were going nuts. And I was like, oh, I guess they scored. And then went back and watched it, and I was like, oh, yes, they did score.
Right.
And then I think just both teams were playing really well. Both goalies had kind of like more so a game of their life. Like they both played really well. And then, dude, Vinicius's Junior's goal, insane. It was just, perfect setup and boom, and then oh my goodness, and then we watched a half of haram ball.
Right.
It is what it is. But I think so far that match has been it was one outside the USA game, because that one was really fun to watch for different reasons. But as a neutral observer, where it's really fun experiencing this for the first time, I was just putting on a random group game and just kind of like deciding, oh, I'm going to support this team. And that one, I had a hard time kind of picking which one, because I feel like both countries are chillers and have some great culture and traditions. And so I honestly had a great time watching that game, not only because I was outside too. But I think Brazil-Morocco so far has been the best game. And obviously we might get off of recording this and an even better game will happen tonight. I think, Japan-Netherlands could be a fun one. It's kicking off in a few minutes. But yeah, ultimately, Brazil-Morocco was pretty electric. And even if Brazil played haram ball, but, we'll let it slide. We'll let it slide.
Right.
And I just need to take a moment, Justin, for my Curacao boys. They fought hard.
It's not good.
They got a goal.
They got one.
I'll clap for the goal. Congratulations. You scored in your first ever World Cup. You're making me proud. I have zero connection to Curacao, but, I was cheering for you hard. And unfortunately, you got that 7-1 butt whooping. But, well, it's just a minor setback for a major comeback, fellas.
It's one game.
It's one game. And now you get to play, Ivory Coast. You can get the dub against Ivory Coast, right? Hopefully, we'll see. But just had to pour one out for the Curacao boys real quick.
Got to.
Cheers to that.
Got to.
Justin, heading into this, we talked about exciting matches so far. What are you excited for the rest of this week, the rest of the tournament? Like, as you've been watching these games, what's been getting you fired up? Like, what's been exciting?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it right on the nail when you're talking about, like, this is one of the first World Cups that we've actually been able to, like, we've seen the USA soccer landscape kind of unfolding going towards this. This isn't just like the World Cup's on. We should probably watch this. Like, as a sports fan, I have a responsibility to, like, watch the World Cup because we want to know what's going on, right? But this is, like, the first time we've actually seen, like, the different countries. Like, we've got, like, MLS players playing against each other, right? Plus on top of, like, the actual USA squad playing against different teams. But I know USA doesn't play till Friday, but the idea that it's just like we're gonna have matches running all day, and we just get to have these little pockets of, like, understanding different team cultures. Like, you can see how much more aggressive some of these teams are, and how like we see guys step up to the occasion because they're playing for their country, and so you can kind of see the culture, you can kind of see the care that goes towards every single game, and I think that's what's awesome about it. I mean, what are the two times? We have on Monday we have. Let's see, I'm looking right now. So like Spain at 11 a.m. The best team in the tournament probably is playing in
lunchtime
the
for me, 12 o'clock.
Yeah. But like right at lunchtime, we get to see that. And then who knows what Saudi Arabia, Uruguay is going to look like, or Belgium, Egypt, and it's just all week, right? And they bring these cultures. Obviously, like they have their own sets of fans. It's really cool to just be able to like step into these very unique soccer landscape and enjoy these little pockets that have nothing to do with like. Obviously, like we're cheering for USA, but we get that opportunity to cheer like Iraq, Norway. We get to pick a team there. Argentina, Algeria. We get to pick a team there, right? So
yeah,
awesome.
I don't know if I'm pro going up to. I think we're at 48 teams from 32, but it does create some cool stories like Curacao getting in. Like I don't know how often Algeria's made it before, but I don't know if you've seen this, but I've been loving Algeria being in Lawrence, Kansas.
Yeah.
Have you seen this video of
yeah
of them going rock chalk Algeria?
It's awesome.
And it's awesome how some random town in Kansas, well not random, I mean it's Lawrence, Kansas,
right.
It's
really
where the University of Kansas is. And they're adopting this like random country that probably half that town hadn't even heard of before they moved to town. And like it's just creating these really fun World Cup stories that if I wasn't really into soccer and I wasn't really following the World Cup, I would probably see a thing or two about the rock chalk Algeria. But like as an American sports fan who's just getting into soccer, it's kind of like really cool seeing the crossing of two sort of like things I'm interested in of American sports, but then now being into soccer, which is becoming an American sport. I'll say that right here. Clip it. It's becoming an American sport. We'll talk about that more later. But seeing that to where I can like sit it to my buddies who aren't into soccer, I'm like, dude, this story is hilarious. Like, check it out.
Yeah.
And like seeing there's been memes that's like, watch out, Kansas is gonna play one of their games in Algeria next year for basketball, which would be so funny. And so it's been really cool seeing like these big stories around just different countries that probably wouldn't have that normal chance, like Curacao or Algeria or like Croatia. Croatia's a big country. I'm not saying that they're not one of the ones that wouldn't have made it. But I mean, they're training in Alexandria, which is close to where I am. So it's just really cool seeing like all of these different countries and where they're training, and being in random cities like Lawrence, Kansas.
Right.
And so I'm excited to seeing the World Cup to continue to unfold. I'm excited to see the content of all of these random Lawrence citizens supporting Algeria on Tuesday against Argentina of all teams. That does suck that their first game is against Argentina.
Nah, they got it.
But rock chalk Algeria. Who knows? Maybe they'll get a banger goal like Curacao did today to tie it up and then lose 7-1.
And that's been the cool thing about it is like people stepping into our culture of like everyone's been talking about that German guy
Freddie. Come on, Freddie.
Yeah,
Let's go, Freddie.
And like going to Waffle House, right? and going to Taco Bell and seeing all of these things. And like it's for us that's like I pass 3 Waffle Houses going to my work every day. Right, but for him, like that's a big deal. I mean, we were just looking at a post right before we started recording of some people from Japan looking at a yellow school bus and saying, "Oh, I've only seen these in the movies," and we grew up using them all the time. And yeah, it's funny. Like we're adapting to the cultures, and it's like it is Waffle House and Taco Bell. Like I wish we were, highlighting different things, but it is this really cool like celebration of American culture, which internally we haven't had a lot of, right? There's been a lot of like arguing, and there's been a lot of like, you can't really say like go America, and like people get really happy about that. But the little things in our culture that are different from the places around us, I think that's been really cool to like watch somebody else experience what our culture would be like from an outside view, right? Because we always see like Americans going to Europe and them seeing all these new things that are going on, and they do things differently than we do. But it's cool to see somebody like learning and seeing, even if it is funny things like Taco Bell or Waffle House or a yellow school bus, right?
Yeah, yeah. We've been talking about these other games. We're talking about being excited about World Cup more broadly. Um, but Justin, I think there's one thing that we really need to talk about, and that is the U.S. men's national team. Friday, I'm sure you've all seen the score by now. You've seen the highlights. We go up into Paraguay and we whoop them 4-1. Justin, give us some takeaways.
Man, if you could start the World Cup one way as an American team, and this is the best way. Like if you're not in the know, you think we're like the best team ever, right? Like if you don't know what's going on, you think like, oh, we might actually win this thing, which probably, like, I'm rooting for it. I'm hoping it happens. We were supposed to beat Paraguay. Like we were 100% supposed to beat Paraguay. Does that take away from the fact that we went in there and absolutely kicked their butts? No. Like that is the best way that we want to start. Also, no. You were talking about it just a second ago. That 7-1 win by Germany kind of does push us forward a little bit in the way of like we just played them, and yes, we lost 2-1, but we hung with those guys. And so we can hang our hats on the fact of this. We beat a team we were supposed to beat handedly. Mm-hmm. And we're hanging with these teams that actually do have a chance to win this thing. So there's hope, man. And it was electric. The guys came out. They're playing they played so fast. They played so aggressive. You could tell that they were saving kind of this strategy. And I don't know what their plan was comparatively. Like I don't know how to run a team. I don't know what the difference between CONCACAF and World Cup is from a play style standpoint. But what I do know is that they came out and those things that I had a problem with in the international friendlies, where we couldn't figure out who's going to take a goal. We couldn't figure out who's going to be aggressive and go down. We couldn't, like, the decision making. And then on Friday, it was just happening. You could see their creativity like actually coming to play because they didn't stop and think about what was going on. They just did it, right? And that resulted in 4 goals. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, so I agree. We took care of business. We were supposed to win that game. So I was very excited about this game. I got some colleagues together, had some friends from church. We go to Franklin Park in DC for a watch party that DC United put on, and sweating my mind off. Like it is just stupid humid. There's people all around me. It was awesome, and the pride that I felt when that first goal went in, I lost my mind. I need to shout out. First, let's go backwards. Gio Reyna. Going into this, people were really upset that Diego Luna did not make the roster, and realistically, it was probably Gio Reyna that took his spot. And I'm still new to this. I didn't know the lore about 2022. Recently found out about the lore of 2022, where it was pretty, seemed, I think, disrespectful and crybaby, and didn't really get to play, and kind of got kicked off the team because of that, like sent home or whatever, nearly sent home. I'm blanking on the exact, but like in any sort of world, Gio Reyna definitely needed some maturity over the last 4 years in order to make this team, and Gio Reyna gets in over Diego Luna, and that goal tells us why Gio Reyna makes the roster. Oh my goodness, it's winding down. It's 3-1 in my prediction pool. I said that we were going to win 3-1. I was very excited to get the points. Obviously did not happen because he then proceeded to hit the Trivela to go top left bins. Holy cow, I lose my mind. What a way to send the Paraguayans home. It was awesome. It was awesome. And then Flo Balogun, I just saw a reel that was like, these Americans are saying his name wrong, so I'm really sorry. But Balogun, thank you, birthright citizenship. Oh my goodness. It's such a contested thing right now, but thank you. Thank you to that random airline worker that said, hey, we don't have the proper paperwork or whatever it was, to where he had to be born in Brooklyn and was here for 2 months before moving to England and growing up there. And what a testament to our beautiful country that Flo Balogun decided to play for our U.S. men's national team. And not only does he decide to play in his World Cup debut, scores 2 goals for us, 2 banger goals to put us up 3-0 going into halftime of an opening World Cup on home soil for the first time in 32 years. Had to do some quick math there. And it's excellent. And in my 1 year of watching soccer, that is the best half of U.S. men's national team play that I have witnessed. Oh my goodness. That first half, everything was nearly perfect. Matt Freese barely got to touch the ball because we were attacking. We were passing the ball around. Chris Richards with the perfect passing rate. My GOAT, Chris Richards. Love him. With a perfect passing rate throughout the game. It was awesome. I was so fired up watching that game. Second half, we kind of sold for a little bit. We gave up that goal. Honestly, Freese should have saved that goal, if I may add. But also, I'm not a professional soccer player. I always make the joke. That's oh, I would have saved that, but I'm not saving that. But he's a pro, and it speaks to the fact that our goalie crisis is kind of what it is, and they're all MLS players. So, it kind of is what it is. But yeah, I was very impressed watching the U.S. men's national team play on Friday. My hopes after the 2 friendlies were already pretty high from what I had seen. Pulisic, oh my gosh, what a half from him. A little scary that he got pulled at halftime. But I think he'll be fine. Hopefully he plays on Friday against Australia. But yeah, what else did you notice, Justin, that I might have missed?
Yeah, no, I think you hit everything on the head. I'm not too worried about Pulisic getting pulled in the half. I think they're just trying to save their players, and what an fortunate position to be in, up 3-0 at half. You're I feel strongly that we can make this happen, and I'm gonna pull him, make sure save his legs. The biggest thing for me when coming up for the World Cup, about the last 2 months, I've been kind of waiting and waiting and waiting for these, I don't know, more advertisements or more kind of pushing the World Cup. And we got it, but it was a week before. There's this monumental thing happening in about 2 months that's going to bring a bunch of people to the United States and a bunch of people to what economically that's huge. Just having people in our country, but also the biggest team sporting event in the world is coming to, bigger than the Olympics, I would argue, is coming to the U.S. And yet we don't have a lot of push. We don't have a lot of advertisement. We don't have a lot of trying to get people in the doors and trying to get people to root for this. Obviously, we saw Inglewood on Friday. It was packed. There were celebrities there. It was all there.
Side note. I need to interject. We have a home advantage. And I know it's oh my gosh, Eddie, of course we are because we're playing a World Cup at home. But in the history of American soccer, just from what I've heard, that realistically it's more than likely America games, especially the men's team in America, you're going to have more fans from the other country there because that's just kind of how our country is. Right. We don't care about soccer, and a lot of people have immigrated here from those different countries. But that was a home field advantage at SoFi, or Los Angeles Stadium, sorry. And that just doesn't happen, and especially for our men's team, that does not happen. And so it was so electric, the atmosphere from it, and the home field advantage that genuinely was created. I was at a watch party. It wasn't super loud, the sound from the game, but it was awesome.
Yeah, I think that I think that's been really cool. I think that's the best part about Friday was the absolute packed house in LA. And I hate to say it, and this was my fear. It's we've been comparing this run of what we want to have to the Miracle on Ice run, right, when we beat Canada. But the biggest thing is, with that win, when we won gold in hockey, and we just did it, but when the Miracle on Ice happened too, it spurred this big generational move to people wanted to play hockey. Americans wanted to be good at hockey, and I felt like we had such an opportunity for this World Cup that we could put on a new generation of soccer fans. Like, we could actually make soccer like a giant sport, and it is becoming one very slowly. And we've got a bunch of opinions on that, but it's for another it's for another pod. But the point was, like, I thought this American team was good enough that if we played our cards right and we did the advertisements and we got people in the doors and we started to like really like push, like, we want to be good at soccer, like, this is something we should care about, we could come out of this World Cup like having a real fire for American soccer as a nation, right? But I didn't think it was going to come from the team. I thought it would come from the World Cup themselves, like just coming in, making a big deal out of all this. And yes, there are things like companies have made it a big deal. But I'm saying, from a person who sits on my couch and watches sports, I knew it was coming because I cared about it. But I don't know how many people, at least around me, even knew that, like, oh, USA plays on Friday. I don't know that.
I'm going to chime in here. I've been yapping a lot today. I got lots of takes today.
We got a lot going on.
All of my whole Twitter leading up to the World Cup was people being like, the World Cup starts in a month and the hype is just not there. And I'm like, one, the fact that you're tweeting about it shows that the hype is there. Two, have you not been watching TV? Because all of my ads have been soccer adjacent, you know, a lot of stuff with Diego Luna rip before it started. And so leading up to it, I think the hype was there in America for us to host a World Cup. I think the problem is that, you know, it costs way too freaking much to go to a game. And that has hindered the hype and people's excitement for it. However, there were a lot of people at that USA watch party on Friday that I went to. There were a lot of people at the Brazil-Morocco game that I went to the watch party. There have been so many tweets that I have seen of Europeans who at first, I was pissing me off of at first them being like, these bloody pitches are absolutely insane, bruv. And I'm like, you're not playing at the ones that are for the World Cup, so chill out. That's just a warm-up. Like, it's like a training field, essentially.
Right.
But, like, I don't know if you've seen the tweets now or just photos of people that are like, I saw one, and it was them at MetLife or New York, New Jersey Stadium.
Yeah.
And they go, wow, this place is a coliseum. And so they're saying that about MetLife.
Right.
And so it is obviously proving them wrong of like, oh, sure, like, we don't have Craven Cottage. We don't have, you know, the history of those really old stadiums. Granted, if we would have had the World Cup at like the Cotton Bowl or the Rose Bowl, then we would have that history. But that was what we did in 1994, and now we have air-conditioned stadiums. So, like, why not use those? But the fact that we have people tweeting that out about MetLife shows that, like, our stadiums, one, like, do provide an atmosphere, and two, like, the aesthetic and things just about the World Cup, about America, about our stadiums has exceeded, I think, expectations of what people were saying about, you know, about what the World Cup would be like here in not only America, but just North America in general, with Canada, America, and Mexico. Which Mexico, I feel like their stadiums, like having it the Azteca it was awesome.
It's really cool.
I want to go there someday and watch Club America play there so bad. Like they do have like the historical aspects of that, but they're only dogging on America. They're not like, oh my gosh, Toronto BMO Stadium. Like they're not saying anything about that, or you know, in Montreal, like, or not Montreal, Vancouver, BC Place. Like they're not saying anything about that. They're only dissing on America. And so I think this World Cup so far, granted we're only 4 days in, is genuinely proving to be a success. And so that is my take on this World Cup. I don't think it's a flop. A lot of people were scared. Maybe the hype wasn't fully there going into it. The problem here is FIFA and their pricing, just insane. And I'm not one for price controls either. We're not gonna get into that.
It's your next
but
podcast.
But yeah, they just charge way too much. And so I think even factoring in all that, ultimately these stadiums are sold out. People are going to the games.
Yep.
America has a home field advantage. And Mexico does too. Canada does too. Those games were awesome. There's a crowd. It's a shame Canada can't win a World Cup game. But
shame.
That's what happens when you play Bosnia and they put out a banger song. I am from Bosnia. Take me to America. Have you all seen that? It's awesome. It's so awesome. And the amount of times I've said awesome today is how I feel about the World Cup.
Yeah. I think all that to be said, what would really do it is it's reliant on our USA team. And I'm not saying we need to win the World Cup in order for us to like kind of just inspire people to watch more soccer. But what I will say is like if they make a run and they make it look good, like it's not a like if it's entertaining soccer, which they gave us on Friday.
Yeah.
If they continue to do that and they continue to win games, I mean, we could really see an influx and people who are wanting better soccer, which is what the country needs right now.
Yes. And so ultimately, granted, there are, us being from Texas, South more broadly, there are a lot of people who don't care about it, but I think people have been saying heading into this World Cup that it would be a catalyst for soccer in America, and I do believe that is the case. And so again, we're only 4 days into this World Cup. I don't want to interject too much here, too much there. But I'm naturally an optimist. I tend to see the good in things pretty clearly, and I think this World Cup is shaping up to be a good one for not only just the game in general, but the game in America specifically. I saw another tweet recently, and it said, that game tonight, there is some kid somewhere who has been inspired to start playing the game and could be on that field 20 years from now, or 16, 20 years from now. And so it is really awesome seeing things like that and just getting me absolutely fired up. And so, yes, this World Cup has its flaws. I hate the hydration breaks. They're dumb. We don't need them. Fox is going to commercial during those. We have 4 quarters. Yeah. Yes, I hate that our government is denying visas for referees or players on the team, which, granted, maybe there is some national security issue that they obviously can't just tell us, but it should be a diplomatic thing of it should be easy for them to come here to play, and they're literally just here to play soccer, nothing else. But I hate that that's happening. I hate, that there are other political things surrounding these games, which later I'm hopping on my buddy's podcast, one of my colleagues from work, and I'll be discussing that more. Check it out, Washed Up in D.C. I'll be on there talking about the World Cup and kind of get more political aspects, geopolitical, economic things about the World Cup. So feel free to check that episode out. It'll be on Instagram as well. We'll collab with them, but I'll dive a little more into that. But I hate that that's going on. But ultimately, I've come to love this game over the past year, and I love to see that there are people in America who care about this. I've had more conversations with people who normally do not care about soccer in the past few days than I did my entire year of watching soccer, and it has been awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think overall, I'm just super pumped. I think we're headed in the good direction. We just and honestly, next Sunday when we're recording the pod, like we could have the opposite feelings. USA could come in on Friday and just like have a horrible showing, and then everyone's going to be off. And that's why I'm saying I think they have to be. If I'm America right now, if I'm the U.S. men's national team, on top of signing Neil Kennedy, I am just trying to win every single game possible that I can, and as dominantly as I can, because that's how we're going to get the viewership going.
So speaking of Friday, we've got a big matchup against Australia, which I never got to give my takes before the World Cup. I always said Australia was our biggest threat in the group, and they proved that against Turkey last night. Justin, we play against Australia on Friday, Juneteenth. Shout out. What's your prediction? How's that going to go?
Yeah, I think it's an opening day game, so it'll be a true 11 a.m. It's hard to tell. I'm hoping for if somebody's going to win it, I have a feeling it's going to be Australia, but I think it'll be tight. It could be an Australia 2-1, or we just get a draw. But I think we hang close. I mean, we have every right and every way to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think coming off such a big win, it's hard to tell. But I'm thinking probably a 1-1 draw against Australia. I think they're our biggest threat. And
I hate that you said that because that's exactly what I was going to say. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. It's going to be a 1-1 draw against the Socceroos, two countries that call it soccer, baby. Come on. And I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. And if that's the case, then we still keep our place above them based on goal differential. So we would still be top of the group, and it will come down against us and Turkey. So that's my prediction. Stay tuned for next week as we predict the Turkey game. Turkey, let me say it correctly. And I probably honestly said that wrong too. Who knows? Actually, a lot of you should know. I should know. I should look it up. But I think ultimately that's what's going to happen. We agree. 1-1 draw. I think America strikes first. I think we get the first goal 30 minutes or so in, and then I think Australia gets the equalizer around the 70th minute. There'll be a few chances, but ultimately I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw.
Yeah. Hey, and we've only played this Australia team one other time in a friendly, and we won 2-1. So
come on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be as long as I hope Pulisic plays, that'll be great. But I think it'll be a really, really good one. So
yeah,
I just have one more question, if I might ask.
Please do it.
What's a kilometer?
What is a kilometer, baby? We have miles. What is Celsius? Fahrenheit. I'm blanking on all the other ones, but what the heck is a kilometer, guys? Come on.
What the heck is a kilometer?
Can I get a USA? USA. All right, Justin, I think that'll do it for this week's episode. The World Cup is here. As I've said, I'm very excited. We are very excited. But, Justin, I'm going to toss it off to you. What is the last word?
I think the last thing I want to say is free my boy Jan Fillion.
For real. Free my boy. Free my boy. We will see you next week here on the Probably Soccer podcast.